Everybody. This is Vijay Mystery. I'll be formally introducing myself in about 120 seconds from now. We are just making sure that we've got everything in place. Rebecca, can you hear me? I mean, this is just we are making sure that our technology works and it's in order. So,
It's
Rebecca,
all
can you?
very good, VJ. I can hear you very, very well. And as we know with these events, it gets a bit nerve-wracking at this stage, doesn't it, to make sure the tech is all going
Oh,
smoothly.
yes. Do you know last time, Rebecca? I don't know if I meant. Yes, I think I mentioned to you. I could hear my own self, so I knew there was another app open or something. But that was the worst distortion I've ever faced. So yes, it's. Thank you to Soin. Soin, can you hear us? By the way,
I can hear you loud and clear. I hope you are able to hear me.
absolutely. And
Yes.
I don't see us having to mute from the looks of it. I mean, I could be wrong, but
No.
at this particular point in time, we don't need to really keep on, you know muting ourselves. But if need be, then I suppose we can mute. But for now, knock on wood, I think we are pretty good. We're gold at this particular point in time. Am I right?
We are all
Yeah.
good. I don't know how you manage that situation because, when you're on a phone call and you can hear feedback, it's very, very difficult, isn't it? So I actually don't know how you ran a webinar session with that going on. All credit to you. I just don't know how you did it.
Rebecca, it was
Yeah.
one of the most toughest of all the events or any videos which I've ever done or any conferences I've ever been to. But this has been one of the biggest challenges that I faced. But I think, in a way, I convert that into an opportunity because that allowed me to bring out a different level of thought process of focus. So, as they say, so I came up with this term that in order to forge forward, you need to focus.
Oh, yes.
So, I mean, despite all that background noise, and I think that really played pretty tough on all of us. I think we are top of the hour. We are ready, and we are live. Are we live on the social channels? Yes, I think we are live. A very good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're tuning from. My name is Vijay Mistry. I'm the CEO and founder of Rent a Director, author of multiple corporate training programs, which have a green light status award from the UK Trade and Investment. And our purpose is to see you leaders achieve standards of excellence in everything you do. And for those owning businesses to scale up your business with ease. Now, today is an impact driven session, and this is on culture, the 5 critical culture drivers for your business success. And this is a topic which we get a lot of questions from a lot of you on this particular topic. And it's just that culture plays such an important role. That particular people pipeline is so important in all businesses, wherever you're located. Now, look, before we go ahead, it doesn't matter whether you are a CEO, whether you're a business owner, whether you are head of a department, a manager, executive. This applies to you. I promise you, you will get a lot of value. This is like a 1 day workshop or a 2 day workshop, which we have condensed in 30 minutes. So each and every minute, you are going to get a lot of value. And to add this value, I have with me, firstly, let me just introduce my business partner, Soin Shah, who's based in Nairobi, Kenya, and Soin helps businesses transform as well and helps them to scale up as well. So, Soin, over to you just to say hi to everybody.
And welcome on board. I think I will allow Vijay to introduce the other guests that we have in the house today. Vijay, over to you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Soin's very conscious about time, and he's even told me that I have to be very disciplined when it comes to the timeline. So we respect your timelines. And with me is our associate, Rebecca Jenkins. And by the way, Rebecca here, she grew a company to over 50 million pounds with over 1,000 people. She sold this business to a FTSE 500, and she became a sales director. She's also the author of Winning Big in Sales. And by the way, Soin will be sharing a link And I press upon you to buy this particular book and also connect with Rebecca as well here on LinkedIn. We are live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, but you can connect with Rebecca because she's got a lot of insights. She's got a podcast as well. And now, Rebecca is actually a business growth consultant. She's a coach. She's a non-executive director, and she helps ambitious leaders, to aspiring and ambitious leaders to transform, to move to another level, to stretch their thinking as well. So, Rebecca, welcome to this particular live event.
Too kind of you, VJ, with those words. Thank you. I think the essence of what we're looking forward to today, as you say, is adding value and helping others.
Thank you, Rebecca. And by the way, wherever you are, please say hi. I can see Danvers. Hi, Danvers. We have with us Swapan Sanjay Kumar as well. Please go ahead, say hi. Jonah is here as well. We'll be taking some questions towards the end of this particular session as well. So please go ahead. Let us know where you are from, which part of the world you are from, because we have interest and we've got this keen interest on this particular subject from all parts of the world, including the US and Australia as well. So welcome, everybody. And without further ado, just one more thing I wanted to share with you is that towards the end of this particular session, what we are going to do is, because we've got so many questions, everybody asking us that how can we really improve in our sector or whatever their particular situation is. So here's what we are going to do is, if it's fine with you, we are going to offer you a free strategy session. I mean, no obligation, it's up to you, but at the end of the day, it's going to add value, and it would be a personalized session to help you to grow and to move to the next level. I hope that's fine with you, because that is, it will help us to add more value. That is our intention, that's our purpose, that's our mission, to make sure that you add value. One more point, I'm sorry to go a little bit of tangent here, but according to Ebbinghaus effect, 90% of whatever you learn is forgotten within the first 48 hours, as we all know. And the other 10% within 30 days, 5% is completely forgotten, and the other 5% is normally distorted. So here's what I would like you to do. Immerse yourself, make as many notes as possible, but at the same time, tomorrow being Friday, if you can teach somebody else, so just teach somebody else some of these value triggers, some of these tools which we are going to share with you, because that's what we want to do, is to help you to succeed, to help you to progress, to help you to grow. So I press upon you to do that, because that will anchor the message more deeply. So let's go straight into the 5 culture drivers. Over to you, so to start off.
Yes. So just before I start the show and Vijay and Rebecca gets kicking on this very important but very critical aspect, which is the 5 critical cultural drivers that will make sure your business is successful. Now, on this day, I would like to first of all warmly welcome to all our audience who have taken the time out. I must say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you out there. I can tell you for a fact that we've got over 250 people who have registered to join for this event, and I must thank you all for that. Just a couple of housekeeping rules before we roll on. I just want to appreciate that we would love to hear from you. So it would be great to shout out from wherever you are. You can put your the name of your city and country wherever you are in, and just a hi would really come out loud, because we would know that this is going out there. A couple of other things is we are going to be sharing valuable nuggets, so please be taking notes. As we all know, whatever is written down by yourselves it goes in, and you can then go for implementation as you go forward. Another aspect, and as I said earlier, please feel free to post as many comments and questions that you want us to answer. We will have a session which will be towards the end of this program, where we will be addressing all the questions, and of course, if time allows, that is. But we do want to make sure that we do answer your questions. And just a quick shout out to Kunal Dutt Sharma. Thank you for joining in. Reena Nagda Shah, always supportive. Asante Sana, welcome on board. Shahil Shah, thank you for the lovely message. And I just want to quickly...
Even Amani,
yes.
by the way.
Yes.
Amani
Amani Doroma, welcome on board. Danvas Momani, welcome on board. I will quickly go to the main slide. Just give me a moment as the technology kicks in. Yeah, I hope you are able to see this the slides, and of course hear us loud and clear. We had a few glitches last time, and we keep on improving on ourselves as well as we progress to excellence. So I would like to start now by handing over this podium to Vijay to quickly take us and explain to us on how culture is very critical as we go to the main points. Vijay?
Yes, thank you. So I think I already mentioned that it's about adding value and multiple values with whomever your team is, and this is where the impact is. This is where you will see the traction taking place. So it's very important to make sure that we have the right critical cultural drivers. And what I want to do now, because I'm conscious of time, so I think let's go to the first slide so we can talk about the challenges. And maybe I can start off with you, if you can quickly run down some of the challenges, some of the solutions, and then we'll pass it over to Rebecca to add some value and look at it from a sales perspective as well. And what I'll do is I'll give you some tools as well as we move forward. So over to you, Swin, if we can just start with the first key driver.
Thank you, Vijay. And as we all know, the major aspect is always about leadership. And as we all know, it is always about what starts from the top. In our previous session also, we talked about how leadership plays a very critical role. And here we are again, and we are discussing about culture change and what really impacts. The basic major aspect that I want to talk about is how does culture, whatever is set from the top is what remains and is actually a standard that needs to be set from right above. And this is where leadership comes in. So I would not want to belabor upon this. I will quickly hand it over to Vijay to expound on this further.
No, I think let's hear Rebecca's version. Rebecca, let's have your perspective as far as leadership is concerned.
Well, what's been very interesting to me, having a good number of leaders on our podcast, there's some recurring themes, and I think they're very applicable to sales leadership. And the first one is about building trust, because I think that's kind of the essence of what leadership is. How much are you trusted by your team? How much are you trusted by your customers, your clients, and your prospects? And I'd just like us all to kind of ask ourselves that question. Am I acting in a way when I'm leading my team, do they trust me? And the other aspect, I think, of leadership that's really important is continuous learning. So we can always achieve more. We can always learn more to help us get there. And I think leaders who really take this seriously demonstrate that they're always keen to learn more, develop their skills. So in a way, leadership really starts with us, doesn't it? It's looking at what we do, how we perform, and how we are able to lead our team by demonstrating the way that we do it, first of all, by building that trust and continuing to learn. So I think it's important across every aspect of business and very pertinent in sales when you're leading a sales team.
Fantastic. Thank you, Rebecca. And now,
Vijay,
Yeah, sure.
Sorry,
Okay.
I just wanted to add to what Rebecca has just said, and those are very interesting points because it's all about providing a clear roadmap and articulating the vision from the top with clarity, and this is what clearly sets the stage for a company which wants to reach the skies as far as excellence is concerned. Vijay, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Soin. Now, a couple of things that I want to share with you that I have noted some leaders, they are shallow, when it comes to discussions and all that. And I'm just not talking about passive listening or active listening. I'm talking about you having that immersion to begin with. So here are three questions that I would like you to pose and brainstorm with your team or mindstorm if you are an entrepreneur on your own, solopreneur. So here are three questions I want to share with you. The first question is, what is that one change that I'm going to make to become a better leader? So I repeat that. What is that one thing I'm going to do to become a better leader? Sharpening your skill sets as far as leadership is concerned. Two key aspects to scaling up is leadership and systems. Of course, other things matter, but your leadership skill sets come first. The second question, and I think this is very important, do I have the right fit? This is very important. If you have the supply chain, whatever it is, do you have the right fit? Do you have the right people pipeline in place? Impact will come when you have the right people in place. As a non-executive director in one manufacturing organization, the CEO, who was also one of the owners of that particular business, he had a couple of executives, and their performance was subpar. So, in other words, they weren't performing as per expectations. And so this went on for 2 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, and I was coaching him, and I asked him that, so what are you really doing about this particular situation? And he's saying, I'm trying to push him, but he's just not getting, delivering the results that we were expecting. And here's where the problem is that when you don't have the right fit, you need to make you need to take the right action. It could be mentoring, it could be coaching, it could be giving him or her the training and development to make sure they become better. Or at a certain stage, it goes into another phase, it goes to a deeper phase. So you have to look into what you have to do. But look, have an urgency mindset. This is what I always say. Have an urgency mindset. There are very many who are impatient, but rather than impatient, have an urgency mindset, because that is where you're going to gain your leverage. And the third question, which is very important, how can I leverage my time better? How can I maximize return on my investment? Your time is your default currency, not the money. Money is important. Cash is the oxygen for organizations. But your time is very important. So return on your time and your executive time as well. That is the first critical step. And tomorrow or Saturday, I want you to take some time off, take a couple of hours, brainstorm on this, and come up with a few points, but make those changes, those bite-sized changes, tweak and navigate through, and you will see that it's going to change your you'll be able to course correct, but it will also help you to grow exponentially as well. That's what I believe. So let's shift gears and go to the second cultural drivers. Over to you. So back to the our PowerPoint maybe.
Yeah, I think Vijay, you really elaborated on the leadership drivers very well. So I will definitely move on to the next one, and which is all about accountability. I mean, today we clearly know that clear demarcation of roles is critical for organizations. It goes without saying. The team must know what they have to do and how to own up. Now, this is where responsibility kicks in. As we always know, accountability and responsibility always goes hand in hand. So, what we have seen, and this is where I'll hand it to Rebecca and then Vijay to expand on various challenges that we are facing in terms of role duplicity, too many bosses, distraction and noise from the top, and asking. One of the most important ones that I've encountered is the one of asking staff to do assignments which they do not have their mandate on, and don't even have the right training and the skill sets that need to be there to accomplish that task. So I gracefully hand it over to Rebecca. Over to you, Rebecca.
Thanks, Soin. I mean, when I'm working with sales teams and sales leaders, one of the things that I see very often is they are so focused on delivering results. They're up against big targets and big goals. And in doing that, there can be so many other activities that are pressing on them. And it's very easy for the leader to be asking them sort of question, how are you doing here? What's going there? We haven't hit your target yet. And I think what is great is when we can let the team have accountability and responsibility for their actions, real clarity about what they're doing, but let them get on with it and not be micromanaging them. And when you're giving them that level of accountability and it's very clear about what's expected of them, and you let them get on with it and report back on what they're achieving, it just makes everybody feel a little bit more relaxed about it, because they've got that clarity, they've got the goals, they know what they have to achieve, and they are accepting responsibility and accountability for that. And so in a way, their leader can also be more relaxed about it, because they know it's all being it's being measured, and it helps the individual, the salesperson, get on with what they need to do, because they know those clear guidelines have been set out. And I think when you're working in an environment where that's not clear, you can really begin to struggle and feel overwhelmed. So I think the clarity is such an important aspect in all of this. Then when you know your team's clear, you can let them and empower them and help them to make progress without interference, without micromanagement, which isn't a very good place to be when you feel micromanaged.
Thank you, Rebecca. Before I give you a system-based approach, I just want to give a shout out to Sheila Kariuki from Kenya. Hi, Manoj Pillai, Melvin Marubu, Kamlesh Sharma, Muchi Mulay as well. And the numbers are increasing. So if you've just joined in, please say hi wherever you are from. We just want to see where you are from. Just interact. If you have any questions, please post them as well. We will be taking some questions towards the end. Accountability. This is a second critical cultural driver that we are talking about, accountability. And I think Soin and Rebecca have clearly mentioned about some of the key challenges about micromanaging as far as the fuzziness in roles is concerned, role duplicity and all that. But here's what I want to share with you. There are 4 quadrants, and this applies to board level, it applies to departments as well. And I'm just coining something out of the policy governance framework itself, but it can apply to the operational aspects as well. So, and I found that to be really impact driven. By the way, I have also invited a few of the policy governance consultants. I don't know if they are here, but here's what I would like you to understand. Failure, and by the way, as some of you might be knowing, or many of you might be knowing about the problems we are having here in the United Kingdom with Boris Johnson attending some parties and violating certain rules and regulations, whatever was to be complied upon. And Sue Gray gave a report saying that there was failure in leadership. But in my opinion, it's a failure in governance as well. If you really look at it, it's not only a failure of leadership or judgment itself, it's a failure in governance. And we have seen this happening in corporates as well. Many corporates at board level as well, you will see there is this, when I speak to directors, I ask them that, what's your role? They always say we contribute to the strategy, or, adding value from that particular perspective. But here's the thing, there is a complete missing link, and there's a complete moving part, which I want to share with you so that you can try looking into this particular aspect from a different perspective altogether. So I want to give you some context here. And before I give you the context itself, the purpose is to achieve excellence. And excellence is not an act, excellence is a habit. I think Aristotle said, but I'm not sure who said it. But anyway, it's very important to have excellence. So, how do you get this excellence? Four quadrants. The first is ensure you have the purpose. Rebecca spoke about sales. So if you have your head of sales, make sure you have that end in mind. You have all the milestones with clarity. Clarity is where the impact is, clarity is where the power is, clarity is where you will see the traction taking place. That is number one. So make sure you define that. And by the way, we have a program, Achieving Boardroom Excellence and Power of Integration, which covers this in greater detail. But let me just give you a condensed version here. The second quadrant is having parameters. So just like a football match, and I'm talking about Arsenal, Manchester United, Liverpool, and all these teams playing. If you see, they play within certain parameters. They can't go, out of those particular boundaries. Similarly, if you can proscribe policies by way of blueprints, they don't need to be pages and pages, but just proscribing policies, which means negative language. So, when it's a red light, it's a stop. So let me explain to you and give you an example. For example, you're running a company, and you would one of the policies would be, and from a financial perspective, I'm just giving you one straight off my head, is that um, reserves should not fall under $1 million, just as an example. So you get the gist here. Because if you put that into perspective, then you know that you have a buffer to sustain you for another 5-6 months, or whatever it is for your particular organization, depending on the risk appetite, risk threshold, and whatever your business is all about. That in itself will help you to navigate and link towards the purpose that you have already in place. Your risk parameters are well defined. The third one is where the rubber meets the road. And from a board perspective, the board communication with the CEO itself, which is very important. So how are they going to communicate? What are the feedback mechanisms? What is the interpretation, meaningful interpretation? Not only about KPIs, it's about the meaningful interpretation. It's about forward looking as well. That in itself will ensure that there is a complete, coherent system based approach. And the fourth, which is missing and which Soin mentioned as well, is ensuring that you have a clear role, job description. Directors, if it's directors or head of departments, whatever it is, you need to make sure that is completely clear. Visit this on a regular and consistent basis. It should not be just just kept on the shelves, piling up dust, but you have to keep this live. My dear friends, you do this one small act and you will see the impact it makes. You can use any system, whatever you want, but you will see that it will help you to tweak better. It will help you to see a different perspective altogether. It will give you more clarity as well. You'll be able to communicate better as well. And you will see how the standards are being raised as you move forward. Because that's what it is all about. It's all about progression to excellence. So we are always progressing. That is what it's all about. Sorry, I took a little bit more time, Soin and Rebecca, but I just wanted to share this because it's very close to my heart as well. So we'll go to the next cultural driver, Soin.
Before we just go ahead, I would just like to give a quick shout out to Clifford Van Eyden from SA. Welcome on board, my friend. Jinal Savla, welcome on board. Always staunch supporter of RAD. And Dalma Sotieno, I'm glad that you are enjoying this conversation. You're always welcome. And I will not belabor a lot. I'll just move to the third slide, which is about the empowerment, enrichment, and energy. Just 1 second as it comes, as technology always ends up freezing, but I think it's done wonderful today. So let me just start off this slide by saying that without these 3 E's, these are this is what it's basically the electricity that runs corporations, and it needs to be there. As I always say, corporations do not make profits without this, and most importantly, it's all about humans. So what I'm trying to say is that, staff must be always empowered to take risk. This can only come in play if there is trust. And last time we discussed what is the power of speed, and I'm sure you all have read a lot about that. There must always also be empowerment to share their thinking. I mean, this is what I'm trying to say is leadership should always share the thinking, and so that the subordinates and the middle management can take it, and they know that it's being communicated, and this is what is coming as vision from the top. So and of course, I always say it should be both ways, because there needs to be room for listening and deep listening, and that is what Vijay keeps on talking about. So energy levels must always be high at all times, and I mean, it goes without saying that energy levels can only be high when there is a right fit in the organization. So I think without taking too much time, as I said, I'm a bit conscious about time, and we would want to spare a bit more of time for answering the question. I will hand over to Rebecca to expand more on this topic. Over to you, Rebecca.
Thanks, Sonal. You've mentioned so many important things there, about building that trust and making sure it's a good fit. But I'd like to pose a question. Have you ever worked in an environment where you have felt low energy and you've thought, I really can't be bothered, my boss doesn't listen to me, when I do come up with new ideas, they're not engaged with, they're not progressed, I don't get any feedback. And I think we've got to think about the environment that we're creating for our teams. Have we got a place of psychological safety where our teams really feel empowered, encouraged, and energetic to come up with new ideas, and they're well received and they get feedback on them? So if you're a leader, ask yourself that question. Do I provide a place of safety to really encourage new ideas to come through? Because that's very energizing when you share an idea and it's received and it's debated and discussed. It may not go anywhere. There may be valid reasons for that, but you feel that you've made a contribution, and there's nothing like that to have a feeling of enrichment, to feel energetic. But maybe you're in a situation where you feel your leader doesn't receive ideas well from you, and your energy's low as a result of that. So it's thinking about what techniques can you use in a situation like that. And it takes a brave person, but I'd really encourage you to do that if you're in that situation, to have that conversation with your boss on a one-to-one and just explain that's how you feel, because it's so important to have that place of psychological safety and have it for your team as well, so they come forward willingly and with energy to share new ideas that can help grow the business and take it forward, and also hugely important from a sales perspective too. So Vijay, on that note, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yes, thank you, Rebecca. Very interesting, very insightful. Thank you, Soin and Rebecca. And again, I echo whatever you have shared. It's all about safety. It's all about trust. And you might come across, I have come across companies where the bosses, they lack the energy, they lack the enthusiasm as well, and they're just running the show because they've taken over from their, father or some, it's just a new generation coming into a business, and I've witnessed this happening as well. And that really drains the whole culture in that particular organization as well. So what do you really do in this particular instant? It's like what Rebecca mentioned, that you need to have the courage and be audacious, be bold enough to take that first step and confront reality, as we put it. It has to be there. But at the end of the day, you might And obviously, there's another critical driver we're going to talk about next. But here's what it is: you might find resistance, and there are instances where many executives and directors have come and we've coached them, and they say that, look, we are just hitting a blank wall. In other words, uh, the bosses are just not listening to them, and they feel because of their behavior, because of their attitude, because of where they are, they feel they are always right. So, what do you do in this particular situation? Here are two or three things. First of all, you need to consistently look into how you can exceed value. This is what I always tell everybody, that don't worry about anything. How can you exceed value? Forget about judging anybody. Do not judge anybody. You need to raise your standards. Just like Michael Jordan, he was like daily practice and he was just progressing. So you need to elevate. Why is that very important? Because at the end of the day, when you raise your standards, I'm not saying you're indispensable, but here's the thing, that you can easily get another place to work at, or your boss or whoever it is, they will realize as well, your superiors will realize at a certain point the amount of immense value that you are adding. And this is a very recent example as well, with one executive, and she came up to me and she said, look, this is what's happening with my boss. And I told her that, and she was the topmost staff, and she's saying that my productivity is I'm not really there, because she's got conflicts in her mind. On one hand, on one side she loves her job, but at the end of the day, it's the culture, the leadership again, which is a key problem. And I just told her that, look, keep on raising your standards. If you keep on raising your standards, nothing's going to stop you from being headhunted. So it's very important to look into this particular perspective. But we got an excellence framework as well, where we have efficiency, we've got effectiveness, we've got engagement, we've got enrichment, we've got empowerment, we've got elevation as well, which all culminates and leads to enlightenment, because that's what it is. And when we are talking about enrichment, from satisfaction, and by the way, this happens in sales as well, I'm sure Rebecca will validate this, is that from satisfaction you move to fulfillment, you move to enrichment. When you move to enrichment, that is where the appeal comes. And this is like what Rebecca mentioned about trust. It's very important. And by the way, if you have not read the book Speed of Trust by Stephen M.R. Covey, I press upon you to look into that particular book, because that is fantastic. It will give you some ideas as to how to build that particular safety net. And from one of my experiences, in a media research and training company, what happened is the boss was always sending appreciative notes to the team members, always empowering them, always making sure that the vibrancy is there, the dynamism is there as well, and encouraging them to share ideas, because the ideas they share, the feelings they share, the ideas they share, that's 50,000 IQ points there. That is where the whole growth comes from. Just one or two ideas, and that can really shift everything. It can shift the whole axis of your organization as well. So it's very important to look at it from that particular perspective. I can give you so many examples, but I'm very conscious about time. We are already 38 minutes in, so please bear with us, but I get carried away with this. But I think these are important drivers that you can, I hope you can reflect upon. So shall we move to the next point? And I think there
Vijay,
are questions.
just before we move on, just before we move on, Vijay, what I wanted to say, and apart from yes, there is a question from Manoj which we will respond to at the end of the program. But in essence, Vijay has already expounded quite a bit on it, and I love the comment from Brina, and I would want to say that. Welcome on board, and we will be giving you even more electric jolts as we go along, because I can tell you for a fact there are certain clients that we have had to work on and really work on their energy levels, and certain areas where yes, they want to drive results, but the problem is they want to dictate results, and it never happens that way. We have seen it so many times. The only way it can happen is if you trust, you empower, you enrich, appreciate, incentivize, train, and develop. There is many more things to do. So please feel free to get in touch, and we will show you the way, because this is live examples where we have done this, and it goes without saying that the results will be shown. In fact, very soon we are coming up with a software which can actually tell you what is the results on the investment that you put in coaching and taking us on board, and what is the results that you will get at the end of that. I would like to welcome you, and I would want to challenge you on that note. So without again much ado, I will move to the next slide, which is even more interesting, and that is 1 second, mindset. Very interesting one. Let me just put it up. Here we go. So let's discuss this point, because it's a lot to do with how people are managing. There has to be a progressive mindset, and this again comes from the top. If at any stage you are torn at the top, then progression has gone out of the window. So having complete clarity and again a complete set of blueprints of where you want to go and how you want to reach your destination is utmost important at this stage. So start with self-alignment, deep meditation, and taking time to think through, and having the ability to critically think through what is imperative and removing the clutter, what is the noise that is around you. Remove it and keep a blank whiteboard behind you. As you can see today, I've kept a complete white board behind me. I've just decided to remove all the clutter and have that white dashboard from where we're going to be starting. And I'm sure Vijay will be gladly expanding on that. So I will now hand over to Rebecca to expand on this point. Rebecca, over to you.
Do you know, I'm so thankful to have learned at a really young age, I guess, that mindset is the crux to everything in your life. It's how you perceive life, and it's the lens at which you look through life. And it all started when I was on a long flight to Thailand, and I read a book, and it was by Tony Robbins, called Awaken the Giant Within. And the book was transformational to me, because it made me appreciate that, oh, thank goodness, I don't have to be the most intelligent person in the room to be successful. It's all around my mindset. And it just opened my eyes to how important your mindset is, because your mindset will impact your thoughts and your feelings and how you behave. The great news is that we can all alter our mindset. It's not something that's fixed. We can grow it, and we can, because we have neuroplasticity, we can rewire new neuro connections with new thoughts and make those positive and more important thoughts are more at our forefront of our mind, and we can grow and take on new activities, and we can learn more. We can keep learning. That's something that's coming up. So for me, mindset is absolutely at the heart of it. And it starts with us understanding what our mindset is like. And a great way to do that, and this is how I worked on my mindset, is to actually be really conscious of the thoughts that I have and understanding if those thoughts are taking me towards my goals. So mindset starts with us recognizing the thoughts that we have. And also, interestingly, I was doing a bit of research on imposter syndrome, and imposter syndrome comes from maybe having thoughts that we're not quite good enough, or we're not able to achieve something. And believe it or not, this is something that Albert Einstein suffered with. It made him feel quite ill at ease. So we're in good company when we have those thoughts. But the great thought is that we can all do something about it, and we can all improve our mindset, and we can eliminate any self-doubts or thoughts that stop us from reaching our full potential. Vijay, looking forward to your take on that too.
Well, Rebecca, I think you've summed it up pretty well. But here's my take. Again, on average, you and I, we all have about 60,000 thoughts, 60,000 thoughts in a single day. And in normal instances, 90 to 95% of whatever we think spills over to the next day. Collective intentions is where the impact is going to come from. Collective intentions. Now, intentions, when I'm talking about collective intentions, I'm talking about, at a board level or something, but the mindset, when we're talking about the mindset, the intention itself is where the impact is going to be. So you have to have those focused, it's like non-negotiable, those pure thinking mechanisms within yourself. You have to build that. So here's how you can do that. And there was something I heard about Kensho and Satori, and this is by Beckwith and Michael Beckwith. And what he says is Kensho is growth by pain, and Satori is growth by insight. Insight comes from introspection, it comes from meditation, it comes from listening to your heart as well, from the intuition as well. So that is where you're going to see the progression coming from. This is where you're going to really make that particular impact, and that is how you're going to grow. That is how you're going to change your thinking to make sure that you move and achieve the goals that you have set for your particular self. Clarity in your thinking is what is going to help you to drive. And when I'm talking about meditation, I'm just not talking about any meditation, because many of us will say, oh, we know about meditation. But here's the thing: when you deepen yourself, you'll be amazed. Only a 10-minute meditation for 14 days. And I have my good friends here. I think Catherine Parson, she's here as well, and she would even vouch on this, that meditation is so powerful. 10 minutes of meditation for 3 weeks, and research indicates it's going to make you more effective. It will bring more calmness as well within yourself. And this passive meditation and active meditation, I'm not going into details, but all I'm trying to say here is I'm giving you some tools here that just spend 10 minutes, invest 10 minutes every single day, and see the impact it's going to make as you move forward, as you forge forward, because that is going to drive a different growth altogether. It's going to even calm your mind. It will also, the flow of your thinking is going to be more sort of, how can I put it? It will be in the pattern in which you want, rather than digression and having those conflicts within. So that is very important and very powerful. So I just wanted to share that. Another point I want to share with the mindset is patience, my dear friend, and consistency. You'll need more patience, more consistency as a leader to move forward. So make sure that let your staff take some risks as well. Encourage them to take a few risks within your risk parameters and risk thresholds as well. But you have to be patient. You have to give them time as well. But the consistency is very important. And when do you have patience and consistency? Is when you have a strong belief within yourself. So believing in yourself is very important. Rebecca mentioned about Tony Robbins. I have walked on fire as well. I mean, barefoot, and not once but twice. And it's not magical or anything on those lines, but it just strips your belief system. So it's all to do with your belief within yourself, and that is going to help you to grow, and it will help you to move to the next level. So just wanted to say that. Hi, Paresh. I can see Paresh is there. Gaurav is there. Sahil, thanks for your comments as well. But I'll pass it over to Soin, because we are running quite a, we are running quite a bit late. But sorry, we just want to share as much as we can. We'll wrap up in about 10 minutes or so. So please bear with us. Over to you, Soin.
Yeah, and I will quickly move on to the next slide. And it's a very important one to say. It's about empathy, compassion, and emotional intelligence. Let me just bring quickly the slide on top so that you can all take note of what we are going to be discussing. Yeah, here we go. So basically, this is a very it's a very powerful pointer. These are very powerful drivers as far as business growth and business progression is concerned. I mean, this is all about managing your feelings and the feelings of your team. When you are able to manage others and yourself in such a way, and you create that serious bonding, then clearly you will see progress being and everyone is aligned towards one clear objective and one clear goal and vision. Then you know where the company is heading. So what we also want to just share or highlight here, there are certain other videos that both myself and Vijay have shared earlier, where the 4 key components have been captured. But for now, what we want to say is that a daily routine of making sure that your feelings you have reflected on them, and also knowing what you could do better. Identifying those gaps are very important. So I think in that line, what we wanted to actually say that, self-reflection and self-appraisal is very critical part of day-to-day lives of leaders as we move ahead. So I think I have already said a lot. I'll give it to Rebecca to expand on this aspect. Over to you, Rebecca.
Thank you. I'm going to make this really short and sweet about the importance of empathy and emotional intelligence in sales, because one of the key aspects of sales is building relationships, and you do that by building rapport. So how do you actually go about doing that? Well, it's about focusing on the other person, the person that you're in that meeting with, in that maybe it's a prospecting meeting, whatever it might be. You focus on them. It's not about you, it's about them. And you have to clear your mind of whatever thoughts that you have going on and really put your intention, which is something that Vijay talked about, put your focus, put your energy on them, their needs, what's important to them, what's happening in their life, and build rapport and build the relationship, because ultimately that is going to be how you win the new opportunity. So I'm going to keep that short. We've got questions coming up, and Vijay, over to you with your views.
Thanks, Rebecca, and thanks, Swin. Well, just to sum it up, I think both Swin and Rebecca have already given the optimum value here. But here's my take when it comes to compassion, empathy, and emotional intelligence. Diversity, equality, inclusion, these are not just words, but there is a deeper meaning behind it. So what you really need to do is make sure that you connect the dots wherever it is, whatever your stakeholders, whoever your stakeholders are. You need to make sure you connect the dots. In one particular organization, it was a service industry, and what happened is that I was just speaking to a team, an executive team, and a couple of them, they said that we feel isolated. And I said, what do you exactly mean by isolated? And they're saying that the boss gives more attention to one or two of the team members up here, and we are just left out. We are sort of ignored. And obviously, I mean, it was surfaced out later, and we sort of managed to resolve this whole situation. But you have to, just like what Rebecca just mentioned, centering yourself, self-alignment, and having that authenticity within yourself as well. That is so important, because that is going to help you to calibrate and move in the right direction. It will help you to align, and you'll be able to see. And research indicates, Harvard research has indicated that with empathy, the effectiveness increases, the performance increases, everything improves. So it's out there, the research is out there as well, and we don't need to fake it. We just have to be authentic. We just have to be completely authentic. We'll make mistakes. I make mistakes even in these live events, whatever I'm doing. At the end of the day, we are going to make mistakes. and that is fine, so long as we tweak and we correct and we don't make the same mistakes again. The successful people are successful from the choices they make, and choices sometimes choices come effective, right choices come from failures, and failures come because of wrong choices. So it's a learning curve. At the end of the day, we are going to step up, we'll build up ourselves accordingly, we'll fall, but we'll come up again. Compassion, my dear friends, empathy, emotional intelligence is so critical in whatever you do. Make sure you have a deeply entangled, a way where you are completely bonded with everybody in your organization. Doesn't matter whether you have 50,000 people or you've got 5 people. It doesn't matter. You can build that particular empathy and compassion. It starts from the top. This is why we say tone at the top, not tone at the top, TORN at the top, which we are going to do another live event on. But here's the thing, you have to, this is why I always press upon you to make sure collective intentions at the top, and making sure you have the right focus. The right focus. I don't have much time, otherwise I would have given you a couple of metaphors here. But here's the thing, making sure that you have the right mindset. Catherine mentioned about mindfulness as well. So it's so important making sure the mental health of everybody within your organization is looked after. This is the biggest virus we have globally, and we need to work on this. It starts with you taking that first step of whatever it is that you're doing. And it also starts with me, Soin, Rebecca, all of us. So we need to work towards that particular goal, and making sure that we are authentic, and we recognize everybody's talent, everybody's skills, everybody's competencies as well, because that's where they will be able to build confidence and authentically share with you new ideas, new insights as well. So with that, I'm going to wrap up. And yeah, we've got something here from Lois. I'm watching from Australia, and I love it. So over to you.
Yeah, I think we've just about crossed almost 55 minutes, so
We do
we've gone over
apologize
by 10
for
minutes.
taking more time.
Not a problem. I think we will move to the last slide, which is all about questions. But before I take up the questions, I would like to mention a couple of visitors who have joined into this, a number of audience who have joined into this live event, and that is Rina again with various comments, Manoj Pillai, Melvin Marabu, Mutie Mule. Also a fantastic shout out from Sahil Shah. Welcome on board. Danvan Momani. We will definitely we will attempt to answer your question. And Catherine Parson, welcome on board. And of course, not to forget Mr. That is Laos from Australia. Thank you for your valuable feedback. We really enjoy having you on board this show, and definitely we will carry on doing many more. I think the person who really pushes us to get on to do this much more is Vijay, and I think we all are working to get our standards higher. So I will take straight. I will go to the first question, and that is just 1 second. Let me pull it up.
I've got a question here. If you want me to just jump in with that.
Sure.
Please go ahead.
So the question is from Danvers, and he's asking, what are some of the ways that we can energize a team with pull top leadership?
Yeah.
Who's going to go with that? Who's going to answer that one? Well, my thoughts are, well, I'm sure it's great to hear from Vijay and Sohen. So you can't have a great performing team with a poor leader, is number one. But the team individually may be really striving to do a great job. And therefore, my suggestion is that there's probably somebody in that team who can step up to be the leader, even if they don't have it in title. and that person can collectively work with the team with the right intentions to get the results and bring the team together. So that would be my recommendation. And maybe that person is you, Danvers.
Yeah, I think, Rebecca, what you mentioned clearly is all about leading without titles. And that is what carries the day. And according to me, that should, I think, satisfactorily answer the question. I would like to take up Manoj Pillai's question, and that is...
Sorry,
Yeah.
can I just add
Yes.
in one point? I just want to extend
Sure.
what you've just said.
Vijay, go ahead.
As far as
Vijay, go ahead.
Denmark is concerned, I just want to give a little bit of my perspective to this. That leaders, leadership is all about influence at the end of the day. How can you really drive influence if you have poor leadership at the top? Here's what you need to do. You need to look vertically as well. And if you have this movement vertically, and this is something I shared with the Young Presidents Organization at some point, is they had a similar challenge as well. And if you have, if you can build, if you can have that particular strength within your particular team, if you can build that within your particular team, that is going to force in some shape or form to change and shape the leadership at the top. And again, I always emphasize, keep on raising your standards and do the same for your teammates, rather than, there's so much pollution going on. Sorry to say this, but there's so much of loose talk going on that the boss is this way or this way or this way. Rather than that, focus completely on the task. This is what I believe in. Constructive growth, progression. When you start progressing and moving up the mountain, you'll be able to move the mountain whenever you want, because you got the skills, you got the competence, and you can make it. Just like what Rebecca and Sonia mentioned, lead without a title, and form that strength, that bench strength within your particular team members. Sorry, Sonia, you can move on to the next question. I hope that helps, by the way, Dennis.
Yeah. So I think we'll move to Manoj's question, and he's basically asking, how do you handle insecure bosses who keep on adding your insecurities and the top management does not care? Your career depends on your immediate boss's feedback, however good you are. In such case, how do you bring such things to your top management? Rebecca, any solutions?
That is a really tough situation to be in, and I can really have a lot of empathy for somebody being in a very difficult situation like that, because where do you turn? And it's very, where can you go? What can you do? And I think it's an elaboration on VJ's point. You have to be the best that you can be, always striving to be better and add more value. Now, you may already be doing that. So what is another practical step that you could take? And here's a suggestion. My suggestion is that you think of something that you could do that would really make an impact to the company that you're working with. So you create a project about something that's could be transformational to the company, and you don't just share that with your immediate leader, but you also encourage that to be shared at a senior level as well. And that would then be your opportunity of demonstrating your value, what you can achieve, what you can, the value that you bring to the business. And hopefully that will get some recognition, and that will make you feel great and really help you with any insecurities that you're getting labeled with from your boss, and it elevates you and takes you to the next position. So that's something that you could do within your own control, within your own remit. So I hope that's an idea that you might want to explore further. And if you want to, come and have a chat with us, which is something that we're going to be talking about a little bit shortly.
Thanks, Rebecca. Yeah, just a reminder, everybody, if you want a personalized session, no obligation to take it up or to sign up for any of our services. But if you want a personalized session, Soin will be sharing a link. So you're most welcome to sign up, and we'll be scheduling and firming up a time so you can have a one-on-one discussion with us as well. But here's the point that I want to raise, and I think Rebecca has already mentioned about what you do in this particular scenario, is that make sure that you have that giving sort of mindset as well. Just contribute and give as well, as much as you can, because the more you give, the more you are going to develop your skill sets, evolve, and build your capability. And here's the thing. What I would suggest you do is not only you, but also your other team members. Gather your other team members, because they might be even suffering with such poor leadership, just like what you mentioned. So make sure that you a team up, and come up with the rest of them, because not only you should get the credit, but also everybody should be part of that particular credit, and that will help you to grow further. This for me is the definition of enrichment. When I give, I get a lot back. So have that mindset, and keep on evolving your capability. The minute you start evolving your capability, I can promise you, you will be headhunted within the next 3 to 6 months. You'll get a place which is better. If you can't change your leaders, as I put it, then you need to jump ship at some point, and that's a tough decision. But you need to look into those particular bold moves as well at a certain stage, if everything else fails.
Do you think we have time for another question, VJ?
Oh, so you moved out.
Yeah, there's a question here
Yeah, carry on.
from Danvers. He says, I don't know how it would be possible. Hopefully the panelists can tell us. Money is greatest driver, especially in a frontier market. And I think that is true. I mean, we are operating in commercial businesses, and focus on the improving the financial performance is also, is a key fundamental point of that. But for me, it's how do we achieve that result in a way that's congruent with the values of the business and what's important to the business. And when we have that clear, it's easier for the money to flow. It's easier for us to add value, attract new business, and win new clients. So it's not focusing on the money. The money will come. The focus needs to be on the values that you have, culture in the business, how you all come together to improve the financial performance of the business.
Yeah, I think Rebecca, I think you just put it very well articulated. And again, I echo what you've said. It's all to do with upholding your values. You cannot compromise your values or standards in any situation. I have seen big professional firms as well, where there is a conflict between the partners. There is this huge conflict taking place as well. But here's my point: is that don't focus on the money, just like what Rebecca is saying. If you focus, if your pure intention, if you focus on deliverables, and if you can add multiple values, you'll see the money will flow. The money will flow. Again, going back into patience, consistency. It's not going to happen immediately. And I've seen leaders who dabble as well. So you have to give it some time, and you have to have a strong belief. And here's the thing: learn to say no. If there is some business you get which doesn't align with your values, or it doesn't align with your competencies, or whatever it is, just refer them to the right people if you have them. But otherwise, you can decline that. That is where you will be able to build more trust and more authenticity as well. And you will see that you will be very well branded. You will have that reputation where people would want to work with you. You'll have that appeal as well. And it has happened to me in one particular instant. There was one particular company, and they wanted some service which it wasn't my it wasn't what I could really provide. And so I told them that, sorry, I won't be able to help you here, but I have somebody else who will be able to help you here. But if there's anything else you can do, that built trust, and they gave me some other business. So this is what it is. So learn to say no as well at certain points. I'm sure it would help.
So very true, VJ. I've been in a situation where I took on a client. It never worked out. Our values weren't aligned. So I learned the hard way. It was never, ever worth it. But yes, such a good point.
Fantastic. I think we've covered everything, and thank you so much. Look, we might have not taken all the questions, but we will surely come back to you. Anybody who's come in. But Prasad, thank you. Swapan, Danvers, thank you. Jonah, we got so many comments, so thank you so much for joining us. We'll be having more of these live events, so please connect with Rebecca, connect with